Do you like Goblin Girls? How about Magical Girls? I'm going to assume your answer to both of these questions was yes, so allow me to present this idea, a magical Goblin Girl. I'm Oceanax, and for my part of an art trade I did with my VTuber friend Honey Goblin, I decided to draw her as a magical girl. In this video, I'll be talking about how I designed a whole new look for her character, which I made to fit in with the lore of my original setting, Loch City. Please enjoy! Now, first of all, with this piece of art, I did forget to start the recording until I'd already finished the sketch. So this recording will resume, as you can see, from the Lineart stage from the beginning. But you can already see the sketch and how I've constructed it into the different parts. I like to start with blue lines for the body. I usually start with the face when drawing, green lines for the clothing, and sometimes orange for the accessories, and pink for the hair. Now, starting with this is a goblin character, and goblins are obviously shorter than people, which means that when constructing the proportions for this character, I opted to make sure that the body is relatively smaller than the head compared to human characters that I would more typically draw. And the proportions aren't extremely exaggerated like you'd see in some other goblin characters. Some other artists might do this. This was at Hannah's direction, the style that she draws her own character with, so I wanted to follow that sort of style to make it faithful to the way that she draws her character and to her style. Now, when designing this outfit, I designed a completely unique outfit for Honey based on, first of all, to make it look something like a magical girl, very flowy. We have a staff with crystals on it. We have robes, something that looks magical, but also something that looks very retro anime. I like to design outfits that look like they could have been in an old anime. So typically, you don't want to include very specific and hard to draw details. Often colors are simple and reused in different areas of the drawing. There's not too many patterns and all sorts of colors and things like that. And with this design as well, you can see the flower in the hair, the sunflower. Now, there's a reason there's a flower in the hair, because you can see there's a flower in my hair as well. In the VTuber lore that I have, magical girls, otherwise known as shining mermaids, they all have flowers, not necessarily in their hair. Though for myself and for Honey's magical girl design, I decided to draw it in the hair. And it's a sort of source of their powers, in a way. Each one has a different flower that represents them. And for Honey, I asked what sort of flower she might like, and she responded with a sunflower. So I drew a sunflower in her hair. I also noticed that for her, you can see for her staff, she has this unusual spiky halo circle around the crystal. That's based on a similar design that she has in her angelic form design, and I wanted to sort of include those motifs in this design. The outfit, though, is completely unique. I thought blue would be an interesting direction to take to make it stand out compared to her other outfits, and you'll see that it becomes blue later on. Obviously, we're still working on the line art stage at this point in the drawing. And I really wanted to include some very flowy kind of robes. I really love these kind of, I love the frilly top where it kind of partially conceals the arms and the chest. I think it's a really nice touch. I really like those sort of clothing. And I really like the directionality that it allows you to add to a drawing. You can see that it implies movement from the robe, the skirt around the legs being blown to the right side of the drawing, alongside the hair also being blown to that right side. It makes it immediately apparent the movement of this character. You can imagine that it's a sort of pose that maybe she's doing after a magical girl transformation or something like that. And because of that, I wanted to do a very excited, happy kind of expression. Something that looks very joyous and very upbeat to match the kind of magical girl vibes that we're going with here. And I really like tall boots. We've got some boots. Boots match really well with gloves, which is why we've got the boots and the gloves combo. And there's a sort of faux, under clothing to this drawing where it almost looks like there's the skirt and it's showing off a bit of the hips and thighs, but you'll see later on that this is actually like a bodysuit that goes underneath in order to apply these sort of different layers to the clothing. Adding different layers to the clothing can really sort of draw the eye to certain areas in different ways. The crystals that I've drawn here, I really like to draw crystals in this way. Very sort of angular type crystals makes it really interesting how you can reflect the light off of them, especially once we get to the colouring stage, which I believe we're starting just about now. There we go. You can see that I play around a little bit with the colours here. It took a little bit to sort of figure out exactly what I want to do, though I was mostly decided on the blues to start off with, and again you can see the sort of black bodysuits underneath. I think it contrasts really nicely with the lighter blues in the design, and there's also the red gem that is partially covered by the hair that you can see on the chest. And I've reused that same reddish color and the yellow color of the gold for the halo around the crystal. It's reused in various parts. There's yellow as like an undercolor to the cloak, to the robes, but that yellow is also the leaves, the petals, sorry, of the sunflower and the gold of the halo, whereas the red is not only the crystal, but also the center of the sunflower. Don't mind me, just interrupting for a few seconds to remind you to subscribe. It helps out so much. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the video. I think really important when designing a sort of retro looking character, you want to limit your color palette somewhat in order to imply that it's a character that was drawn and designed to be put into an anime where they would be picking from a limited selection of colors in order to ease the animation process. Like the whole design theory of things like this is limiting aspects of detail, making it so that it can be easily simplified when drawing, so that if something were to be animated, it's not actually being animated here, but if it were to be, it would be easy to draw in animation. Although I suppose with the very flowy aspects of this design, that would add a lot of complication to the animation. And then you can see for the shine in the hair, I actually went with a very specific pattern for the shine in the hair. I wanted to include these sort of sparkle shaped glow in the highlights of the hair. That's the word I'm looking for. To kind of, I like including these patterns in the highlights of hair, like different patterns for different characters, because it implies different. It implies different personality for characters, and really makes some of them stand out in different ways. You can make it softer, you can make it sharper, you can make it jagged. Shaping the hair in different ways can really bring out a character's personality, I think. And the eyes as well, I really, really love the soft sort of reddish to orange glow of the eye color that we've got here, and paired as well with the sort of slight yellowish color that Honey's eyes have. I think it produces a really, really nice effect that I'm very proud of. I was talking about directionality when it comes to the clothing, but there's also directionality to consider when it comes to the shading, where you can see the clothing is flowing to the right, which implies the character moving to the left, which makes it very natural for the glow, I can't think of the word, the light, that's the word, the light of the light source of the drawing is coming from the left, so the shading, you can see half of the character's face is shaded on the right, and we've got these darker colours as we move the drawing to the right in order to draw the attention to the staff that we're holding that I'm going to be making glowing. It's like the light source. Choosing a light source that a character is interacting with, I think, is a really, really interesting way to do shading, and it really provides some, like, it really makes you think about, like, okay, so this thing that is in the scene itself, not like a far off light that's not being described, how is this going to interact specifically with the scene? The color of the light. This is something that's going to be very, very glowy, kind of reddish and yellowish. So it'll apply that sort of glow you'll see to the drawing later on, and to the inside of this halo shape. You can see the inside of the halo is the part that's lit, and then everything else around it is in shading, because if the crystal is the source of the glow, then the center of that is going to be where the glow is the strongest. When it comes to the shading as well of the light here, when it comes to metal, sorry, is what I'm trying to say. When it comes to the metal, adding you can imply the edges of things by adding a little bit of highlight there without doing some lines. And it kind of, without actually drawing the specific shape of these spiky areas, you can imagine they've got these diamond-like shape because you can see the shading. Same with the crystal. Well, the crystal shading is a little bit more chaotic. Crystals have very unique ways of reflecting and absorbing light, and it refracts inside of them, which produces the glittering that you would see in many crystals. And by shading crystals like this, where you have these layers of dark with these layers of light and they overlap with each other, it kind of reflects that sort of light being refracted chaotically within the crystal. The background, you can see the background for this piece. I went with something relatively simple. The background for this piece, I wanted to imply a sort of magical girl transformation, where you can imagine that like a transformation sequence has just happened and this character is showing off now. So I just wanted to do some very simple kind of effects that you might see in a retro anime, where we've got these sparkles, we've got these glowy bubbles, they often appear, and again, the light in the background is focused around the wand, and then it grows darker as we move away from it. And then I've also got, even though the main crystal in the center of the halo is the main source of light in this scene, you can see that the little crystal at the bottom of the wand, as well as the crystal on the chest, are also little mini sources of light that have a little reddish glow to them, to kind of imply that the glowiness of the crystal is not unique to this one crystal. All of these crystals, because they're all drawn in a similar way, have a similar sort of color to them. That's pretty much Honey Goblin is a Magical Girl. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button and check out this other video I made up here. See you next time.